Hi folks, this is going to be a review of Trumpeter's Leopold item 207, released in 2003. At some point this year there's going to start a Leopold body build. Amilcar Barcus will be building a Dragon's Leopold, and I will work with the Trumpeter version. It will be interesting to see in which things they are different or similar. And here you're going to have the Trumpeter's kit review along with Michael's Dragon review on his channel. I'll leave a link of his review down below. Since my experience reviewing stuff is quite limited, I've borrowed a bit of Michael's approach to this task. I hope he doesn't mind. So without much further ado, there we go. Let's start looking at the box. As you can see, it's rather large with great artwork. The build kit is almost 1 meter long and it has a width of 13 centimeters. It's 16 centimeters tall and has 1140 parts. That's a load of styrene. On the box side, you've got a depicted representation of the Leopold, which is displayed in Aberdeen in the USA. Here you have the back and the front, plus a few goodies that come along with the box. On this side you've got some details of the finished model, plus a brief history of this huge railroad gun. The one placed in Calais, France, could reach the southern coast of Britain. As you can see, you have two painting options, but let's look inside the box. The first thing you see while opening the box is that everything, and that's a lot of everything, is perfectly protected with plastic bags, cardboard and polystyrene sheets. There is a massive amount of sprues, and for what I see, it's more sensibly packed and stored than usual, both in Dragon and Trumpeter kits. These are basically all the small carriage parts and the truck wheels. Wow, never seen so much styrene in a box. This is the main gun along with all the truck platform boards and railroad tracks. Look at this. These are the front and rear track bases, properly protected in bags, and more bags. Inside there are additional boxes which protect very delicate parts. This one contains the chassis main plates, we will see them later. This box contains PE, decals and additional parts. And finally you've got the box containing the railroad bases. Good. Let's start with instructions. Do not ingest styrene parts, blah blah blah. And here we have a map with all the included sprues. Very well depicted and clear. Sprue L has 4 replicas. Those are the railroad tracks, and below you can see the long and delicate chassis bars, which come protected inside one of the additional boxes. Here you can see the map with additional sprues and extra parts, which include metal parts, decals, etc. Okay, you've got 2 options. You can build it as a straight track or as a cross track. Obviously the cross track is going to require more room, so the decision is up to you. You must pay attention to the 2 following pages if you want to build a straight track. It looks pretty easy, no small parts involved. Right, if you want to try the cross tracks, you have to follow this part. Looks pretty cool to me, but I doubt I'll ever build it this way. Space isn't an issue for me. No apparent difficulties, and it's easily explained. Good. This part deals with the assembly of the lower part of both cars or trucks. There are loads of tiny parts, and I guess that enjoyment will depend on the amount of flash we find in them. We'll see. No problems here. It looks pretty straightforward. These elements look more fiddly. Loads of work involved here. Definitely not a build for a beginner, You're going to need to build carefully and patiently. Finally, all the wheels are placed and the indicators here. We must repeat the whole thing for the other truck. Here we start building the upper deck of the rear truck. It has some differences too. On the lower deck we have to adapt it. You can see that everything is self-explanatory and well depicted, but it's not a piece of cake and there are so many tiny parts here. This is the front truck assembly. At my non-prolific pace, this is going to take ages to build, that's clear. Here you have to add the wooden board platform and adapt the necessary changes on the lower deck. Right, here you have the gun assembly. Pretty easy in comparison. It's basically a 2-pound gun, but I doubt that seams here are an issue. Looks pretty neat to me. Here you have the elevator assembly. This part belongs to the main chassis assembly. And here you have the full assembly of the gun elevator in the chassis. No problems there. Use clamps, respect glue curing times, and have patience. With the main chassis assembly, you want to be careful with those long parts. They can get bended and fittings may be an issue here. Same thing here. These parts should be extra protected inside the box, and I think they are. And this part will indeed be more satisfying to build than thousands of wheels and little thingies. The gun is put in place and more tiny details. I really hope there's not too much to clean, otherwise you can get stuck here forever. Soon we will see if the sprues are okay. Okay, you need to build all the ladders and little platforms here. These are indeed delicate pieces. We shall see now how they are presented. There is an ammunition wagon that you have to build too. Doesn't look difficult. Fortunately the kit comes with some rounds, which is not always the case. Oh yeah, you would need a crane to move that stuff around. Leopold rounds were massive. Here you have the crane completion and the round trays addition. This is the final stage of the assembly. And this is the last indication for the cross railroad if you want it. Okay, you can choose grey color for Calais or the camo pattern for Anzio. The color clouds are here, but it's basically grey, dark yellow and red brown. I will probably go for the camo pattern. Grey can be a bit boring in such a large surface, but we'll see. Decal position is clearly indicated as well. Right, let's check the box contents. Here you have those fiddly parts. They are very well protected and I can't see any storage or transport damage. You will want to be careful when cutting the sprue connection though. The whole thing looks well molded and flash free. You can see they have devoted great care in the design and making of these parts. There are some injection pin marks on the back, but you won't see them once it's built. Let's have a look at one of these mysterious boxes. It comes super protected with hard cardboard. And these flexible parts are the exterior parts of the chassis. You don't want them to be bended. The plastic is quite thin and flexible. I guess these interior pin marks won't be seen, otherwise it will be a pain. We'll see how they fit once you start building it. Some odd ends are protected with additional bubble wrappings. As you can see, protection is taken seriously with this kit. This is sprue D and it deals mainly with details on the chassis. There is something that immediately catches your eye, and that's the wood grain here. It's perfect and you can get a very good texture color rendition here. I can see any flash on the small parts, and that's good news because you are not going to spend hours and hours just cleaning them. Good. My experience with Trumpeter has been different till now. You have pin marks here, but you can easily see that these zones are going to remain concealed. No problem there. Okay, this is sprue K, and it fits both the front and rear trucks with bits and pieces, plus its outstanding board platform. Again, wood grain is perfectly recreated here. No flash, crisp details. The molding is really good. Okay, the gun. Let's try to find some defects just for the sake of it. No, it looks good. Even surfaces, lack of flash. Hey, spotted! This opening is not clear enough. You'll need some file work, but it's almost anecdotal. It's clean. It's a clean kit. The main barrel looks okay. These pin marks will be hidden. Nice detail indeed. I'm surprised. This is sprue B, and this is the sprue for the ammo wagon. I like how things are organized with these sprues. Where Dragon is an auto counts, this kit's approach is practical and tidy. Yes, again wood grain, yay, and perfectly clean tiny parts. These fiddly elements are duly protected with this foamy material, and what can I say, looks like a seriously good kit to me. This is sprue E, it deals mainly with the gun deck. I don't mind these closed hatches. With a dark wash they are gonna look great. As you can see, this sprue follows the same pattern, nice and clean. No defects that I can see. And yes, more wood grain. Never seen so much wood texture in a kit. Yep. Pin marks, but as the previous samples, they are located very cleverly. Here you have the train tracks properly protected. Let's have a look. Yes, you guessed it right, more wood grain. They look pretty good to me. Let's check the wheels. Sprue G. There are 4 of them. And there's flash. That's a fly in the ointment. There's abundant flash everywhere, including these little pieces. There are also some defects in the molding here. All these parts are related to the running gear, and they are going to require some extra work. They are not that bad, but in comparison with the other sprues, they are way down the standard. Let's see the other stuff. Same problem here. Well, all in all, it's not that bad. It's just these sprues. It can be easily overcome. It will require extra work, but it can't be helped. Let's have a look at the edge sprues, which are related to the lower parts of the trucks. There are 4 of them, and the standard is good. Fortunately, no defects, no flash, perfect quality. I'm just wondering about the wheel sprues. That's odd. Well, this looks perfect. The only drawback is that those tracks on the sides are going to be a bit tedious to build. Too many tiny and fiddly parts. Though, as I say, you cannot complain about the overall quality. There are two sets for the sprue C, and they are used in the gun and the gun cradle. They look fine. There are some seam issues, but they are just normal. Can be easily solved with a knife back cut. Sprue joints are a bit thick here. It's going to need some care and extra work, but I cannot see any flash. There are a couple of J sprues, and they are basically the lower track space. Nice and crisp. And it keeps with the average high standards. Wow, there is even wood grain on the back. Great stuff. So, these are the upper parts of the tracks. They look fine. You have to be careful when cutting connections inside the gaps, but apart from that, they are ready to be used. This big box contains the railroad base. Everything is tidily bagged. I'm going to show you one segment as a sample. This is Trumpeter's basic kit for tracks. The ballast effect is good enough, though you might prefer to cover it with real ballast or kitty-litter. It's a matter of personal preference. It looks good enough to me. And finally, inside this smaller box, you've got all the additional stuff. Here you have the metal axle shaft, and here on this bag you have the mesh, a rope, a hose, a chain, and brass wires. They all look good. Polycaps here. Photo edge stuff. I've dealt with Trumpeter's B before, and it's a bit thick but workable. I like it. Polycaps, and finally we've got the decals. They look fine and thin, but I can't tell you how they work till I build this big piece of artillery. The mighty Leopold, portrayed by Trumpeters, costs about 100 euros, so let's bear in mind first this fact. A 100 euro kit is expensive, but are the quality and quantity of its contents worth that price? We have seen through the review that the amount of styrene included will require extra room in your hobby cave, so in that respect, yes. Let's say that 1140 parts are enough to have fun for many hours. Let's talk about the design and overall quality. The sprue practical design and the well-devised instructions have a high standard, which is coincidental with the excellent detailed mouldings and lack of flash. There are some punctual problems in that respect, which can be leniently omitted if you take into account all the high-quality elements contained in this kit. So, in my opinion, the answer is yes, you can buy it. I'd say it's well spent money if you like the subject. However, this review will remain unfinished until I don't build this kit, and that I'm sure is going to happen during 2018, and it may well reach 2018, but that's another story. So that's all for now, guys. I hope to see you soon on the next video, which should be the Ferdinand build inside Cohen's cursor build, and that's it. Bye bye.